So, welcome to another edition of Open for Business, an educational show created 20 years ago for the small business owner seeking real life experience from other small business owners. Hi, I'm your host. Today, we're going to hear from one of the winners of the Savannah SOF Biz Pitch Contest, and it is a highly competitive yearly event where the new business owners pitch their ideas to a panel of judges to win over $13,000 in cash and prizes to start and grow your company here in Chatham County. I'm also going to guide the winners through the process of creating a yearly PR plan using the Reputation Matrix so you can see how it's done. So please welcome Amy and Scott Pierce, owners of the new company, My Nurse Now, the area's first and only agency to provide urgent care home services. How are you? Congratulations, guys.
Hey, thank you. Yeah, doing great. Good morning.
Gosh, that is a huge honor. I don't think people realize how competitive that biz pitch is. I mean, to get an idea, it's kind of like Shark Tank, wasn't it?
Yes, and I think I told Scott like 20 times that I would not have wanted to be a judge in this competition because all of the finalists had amazing ideas. I mean, they were all so good. I know it was tough to choose.
But what I love about this biz pitch with the Savannah SOF is that when you start a business, it's very expensive and it takes many years to really get up and going. But by winning $13,000 in cash and prizes, that will hopefully give you a jump start in doing this. How did you find out about this event?
Thank you.
I saw it on Savannah SOF's Facebook page. I saw them promoting it, and I said, well, you know, this year we're launching My Nurse Now. We should see what happens.
Yep. And you know, we got a work with small business assistants here in Savannah. We got a small business loan a couple of years ago for one of our other companies, and so they, you know, suggested that we work with SOF, and so we started working with SOF about a year and a half ago. And their mentors are fantastic, and it's free. And you know, when you're starting a business, you know, sometimes you're getting into areas of the business world that you don't really have any experience. And the SOF mentors have tremendous experience, tremendous background, financial, legal, marketing, pretty much everything you could want. And so we had worked with them and it had been fantastic. And then, like Amy said, she saw it and we moved on to the competition.
Another thing I really love about SOF is that they have a national database. And if you have a company that you're really seeking very industry specific information, you can go on to SOF.org and say, barbershop, you know, I need to know what kind of insurance I need to carry. And folks that have been in that industry can, you know, rattle it off like that.
Yeah, we had some questions about trademarking and, you know, names and things like that. And fortunately, one of the mentors that we were able to work with had a lot of experience in the legal background of that. And so he was tremendously helpful in getting us the right answers to get moving.
I believe SOF gives legal advice for the first hour free. They subcontract it out or something. Do you know how that is?
Yeah, not 100% sure. Fortunately, like I said, one of our mentors was a lawyer and was a corporate lawyer. So it wasn't like we had to go outside to a specific lawyer. Yeah, he just was able to you know, give us some anecdotal advice as we were moving, and it was perfect.
Mm-hmm. So how much visibility did you have before the SOF Biz Pitch, and then, you know, how fast is your business growing now?
Yeah, I think that My Nurse Now was really, I think we were probably further behind than some of the companies that were in the competition in our life cycle of starting the business. We had already started, you know, ideas about the website. And so we knew the type of website and the approach that we wanted to take with the business. We'd conceptually done some work on what the business plan was going to be, and sketched out some, you know, rough budgets on an Excel spreadsheet, but we really hadn't really gotten into the weeds on the business plan. And so when Amy signed us up, it was kind of like, you know, be careful what you wish for, because now it's time to put some serious, you know, meat on the bone. And that's when we really got into it. And so it really, gave us a great opportunity to, flesh out some of the details. And I mean, Marjorie, I'll tell you, when we sat in the practice round with the judges, that was probably the most valuable session for us.
Wow.
Yeah. So we, once you made it to the final 8, it started, I think, with 41 or 42 applicants.
Right.
We made it to the final 8. We get into the practice session with the practice judges, and they really gave us some fantastic feedback, and they tell you right offhand, said, listen, this isn't, we're here to help. So we're going to give you some pretty direct feedback. You got to have a little bit of a thick skin because it is your baby that they're talking about, but they're doing it in a way to help. And that really forced us to hone the idea and get to where we thought we wanted to be. And then that translated into the final pitch, which obviously resonated with the folks.
Do you remember some of the feedback that they gave you that helped?
Yeah, scalability was probably the number one thing that they hit on with our company. And our company is real simple. It's, we're taking the old fashioned house call of a doctor that goes into the home, and you've seen the old TV shows of black and whites where the doctor sits on the bedside. And we're trying to take that into a modern approach. We basically say we're taking the old fashioned house call and giving it a high tech twist. And so, the first question that the judges, wanted to hit on was, so how are you going to scale this? If you've got a physician that's doing this, how's the physician going to be able to get from house to house? How many doctors do you have to do this? How many nurses? And so that really forced us to think long and hard about, all right, so if we know that our business model right out of the gate can probably handle 3 or 4 visits a day, that's great. But, investors, entrepreneurial folks that want to help you start your business are looking for, hey, how is this going to go from this big to this big? And that really forced us to think about that and come up with some good plans. And we think we were able to figure that out on how to make it scale from a small, kind of one-off thing where we might see a few people a day to where we could maybe scale it to take it to different cities. So if it expands in Savannah and we can see, 20 patients a day, how can we take it to St. Simon's or Charleston or Augusta and go into different areas?
Did this come about because of COVID and not being able to see?
It did. And through Coastal Care Partners, we already have nurses and Coastal Care Partners that are managing the healthcare of older adults. And some of the physicians that we were working with during the pandemic called and said, hey, Amy, you're seeing my patient. They're elderly. They're at home. I need to see them virtually. Can one of your nurses go help facilitate this? And, so we were starting to do a good bit of that in an effort to keep our clients, safe at home. And so it went really well because what we found out during the visit was that because we're nurses, we can take orders from the physician. And so he was like, hey, while you're there, can you grab a little blood work, a urine sample, send me their vitals. And then based on the results of that, we're going to call it an antibiotic for a UTI. We're going to, things like that. And we handled it all with them at home, and they didn't have to go into a busy doctor's office. And so it was just like, wow, we could do this,
And it really, and what it did, it took the virtual visits, so telemedicine visits that have become very popular during the pandemic, where just the doctor's on FaceTime or Zoom, and the patient has to, navigate the phone or the computer, set it all up, log in. And then once it's virtual, the doctor can certainly ask you questions and try to assess your condition. But there's nobody on site to take vital signs, to follow up with orders. If you have something that needs a small procedure, like a small cut that needs to be closed or something like that, there's nobody to do that. So the telemedicine visit does have its limitations. So what our model is, as Amy said, we're going to send the nurse into the home while the physician is virtual. And that will allow us to do a lot more than just a virtual visit. So we're calling it a hybrid house call. So it's a hybrid between your basic telemedicine and then your full house call where the doctor goes in himself. Well, for scalability reasons, that's a little challenging. A doctor's very busy, and to get to as many houses as possible, we can deploy more nurses than we can doctors if they have to go house to house. So the physician remains virtual, the nurse is in the home to carry out the orders, and that's the model.
And perform whatever it is, and they're allowed to do that, right? I
You
mean,
can do shots, blood draws,
Wound care.
Physician, nurses can do a lot. They can't do everything, but they can do a lot in the home. And it just really lets us expand on what a virtual visit can offer.
I would think having the doctor there would really build the confidence with the patients. Like, oh, okay, it's not just the nurse or a.
Right. And it does. And we're very fortunate in that we were able to partner with a physician that has been in the Savannah area for over 10 years. He's the assistant medical director of the emergency room at Memorial. So he's got tons of experience, great personality. So, he's definitely somebody that patients respond super well to. And I think that's important because, when you're starting a business, as you know, reputation and your customer satisfaction is all that you can build your business on. Without it, you're never going to be successful. So I think you have to partner with folks and employees that get that. And they've got the same sort of, delighting mentality that you have to make sure that the client or patient in this instance is happy. So
when you also have another business, what was the decision to make My Nurse Now separate instead of putting it under an umbrella?
Yeah, it really is something that we still go back and forth on because there's a lot of crossover between Coastal Care Partners, which is an aging services company. So Coastal Care Partners focuses on nurse care management. There's no company in Savannah where you can hire a nurse to be basically your healthcare consultant. So if you think about it, you've got, mom and dad have grown older. They're in their 80s. And while they used to be able to manage all of their health care, they could get themselves to their appointments. They could understand exactly everything the doctor was saying. As you get older, you don't have quite the ability to manage those types of things. So we brought in nurses who can do that. And so people hire us to manage their health, and we take them to their appointments. We talk to all their doctors. We do all their care coordination. We're sort of the quarterback of the healthcare team.
So are they RNs or LPNs or?
Yeah, they're RNs, and they are fantastic. We've been blessed that.
Tell people the difference between RN.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So LPN is a licensed practical nurse, and they're phenomenal. I've worked with a lot of LPNs, and their focus area is more on the skills of nursing, maybe drawing blood and IVs and things like that, where an RN, a registered nurse, has gone through a lot more school for the assessment side of nursing. So it's more of an assessment skill. And then for Coastal Care Partners, also our focus is on geriatrics. So it's called Aging Life Care. It was formerly called a geriatric care manager. Now it's an Aging Life Care manager. So you have a registered nurse that's also specialized as an Aging Life Care manager. So the focus area is on older adults.
Yeah, and it's amazing because if you think about it, and the way we learned about the business really was through our own experience. My father was in his mid-80s, and I was living in Atlanta at the time. I'm from Savannah, but had been in Atlanta from 2008. And in 2017, my dad called me and said, "Hey, I'm feeling short of breath. I'm going to the hospital." So I dropped everything in Atlanta, rushed down to Savannah, and he was in the hospital for about 5 days. And when he got discharged, he had all these new doctors. He had all these discharge instructions. He was on oxygen, very weak, couldn't really do anything for himself. My mom couldn't help her because she was very weak. And so I just sort of looked at the situation and almost in panic mode and going, who is going to manage this? I know I can hire caregivers to come into the home and sit with him, but who's going to manage this? Who's going to take it forward? Who's going to sort of execute on the strategy of all the different things that the doctors are telling him to do? And there wasn't anybody. And that's when Amy and I said, we need to come up with something that families can turn to help manage mom and dad. And a lot of our clients are the adult children of folks who have retired here and live out of town. So they call us from New York, New Jersey, California, Florida. Hey, mom and dad live in Savannah, and there's just nobody there to manage their health. And so that's really where it came from. And our nurses, really, we've been blessed because we have 6 RNs, and they all have emergency room experience. And an emergency room nurse is a special nurse because they deal with life and death, urgent situations every day. They are tough under fire. And, that's a great skill to have when you're dealing with folks who have falls, that are in maybe a crisis mode or panic situation because of some change in their health. And so the RNs that we have are really top flight.
So this is really a huge trend, probably across America and the world. It's a very aging population.
Yep.
So there will be, I'm sure, more businesses popping up like yours.
Yeah.
So when you incorporate, did you do a C corporation or a S or a LL? I mean, that's a huge consideration with medical too.
Yeah, it is. So we did LLCs to start, and we actually have 3 businesses. We have another business called Coastal Independence and Mobility, which is a medical equipment store. So we have a brick and mortar store that sells wheelchairs, hospital beds, lift chairs, everything. And we're a big believer in trying to break the typical healthcare mold. We don't deal a lot with insurance. And
that was my next question.
and when people first hear that, they're like, "Oh, but we have insurance, and you won't let what I've invested in pay for your services." And it's really not that. It's that healthcare insurance covers so little anymore that that's why there's a dearth of services out there, because people only want to swim in the sea of where the money comes from, right? So if insurance is easy to get reimbursed for, that's great. That's where we're going to build our services around the insurance world. But the need for the elderly and really everybody in healthcare is much greater than what insurance is really trending toward nowadays. Insurance reimbursements have gone from this big to this big for your medical providers. And so you're seeing people opt out. Doctors are getting into direct primary care. You're going to talk to Jamal coming up. He's fantastic, a physician who's starting a new direct primary care service. And it's really because people want to provide services that people need, and you're too constrained by the insurance world. And so we've really built our businesses around offering fee for service, which is kind of different in healthcare. People are not used to really paying out of pocket for healthcare. They want to just hand you your insurance card and walk away from it. And I get that. We've got insurance. When we go to the doctor, we want that to work. But if you play in that field, you can't offer the services that people really need. So the only way to do it is to build it around fee for service. And people have to just pay out of pocket, like you pay for, a hotel room, or you pay for, a new car, or you pay for a new TV. You pay for services. You pay for a cleaning person to come into your home. You pay for a realtor to sell your home. You pay for a professional to manage things. And that's kind of the approach. So we have the 3 businesses: Coastal Care Partners, which is the aging services company; Coastal Independence and Mobility, which is the DME, direct medical equipment supplier, as well as My Nurse Now. So we started all of those as LLCs, and then we had our accountant say, listen, it's maybe time to create a holding company, sort of a parent company to manage all of this. And you have to think about shielding your personal life from your professional life, especially medical, because there's a lot of liability, and we have tons of liability insurance for all the things that we do. And so we do have a holding company that all 3 of the companies report up through. And a lot above my pay grade on how all that stuff works. We have a great attorney and fantastic accountant that sort of manage all that for us.
But that's really good insight from somebody who has a company, who's thinking about starting it, to have that kind of corporate setup. Yeah,
a lot of people don't want the legal, I don't know what you want to really call it, but all of the things that come along with getting involved with legal. It's a lot of headache. It's a lot of, red tape, but you really have to have it in today's litigious world, because, if you make any mistake, and in medical, even the best intentions and the greatest physicians or nurses will make a mistake every now and again. They're just human. And so you have to be protected for that. So I would certainly encourage anyone, regardless of whether it's medical or not, to really understand the legal ramifications of LLCs S Corp, C Corps, things like that, and the accounting benefits. Because that's big. When you first get started, you're probably not going to profit a lot from the company. And if you do profit a lot, you're going to get taxed heavily. And so you have to have a good accountant who understands that all of that money that you invest in starting the business, and that you're going to lose money for a little while, how to make sure it's in the right bucket for your filings, so that you stay in compliance with the IRS rules. But also, are looking for ways to make sure that tax is taxing appropriately.
One of the things I like to tell small business owners is every September, make an appointment with your accountant to see where you are. If you have too big of a profit, what are some things that you can do, buy equipment, et cetera, et cetera.
That's smart.
Accountants are busy too, but I've had to learn that the hard way. Just look at my, I look at my P&L all the time, but I want them to look at it and just say, okay, this is what I think your estimated taxes are going to be at the end of the year. So,
it's so important. And, accounting is a huge part of business. And, it's interesting because, we know in talking to score folks and then talking to the other folks that were in Biz Pitch, we're a little bit fortunate in that, I've got a business background over the last 20 years, and Amy has the medical background. My business, so we're fortunate, and so that we can sort of carry the load on each side of that. I sort of handle operations. She's more of the marketing, the planning, the medical, clinical side of things. But that's what I was getting to is you have a lot of folks that don't have that, and it's just one person, and they've got to figure all of that out. And you do have to become a little bit of a amateur accountant. We use QuickBooks for our companies, and that's what I live in most of the day. And I didn't have any experience with QuickBooks prior to starting the company. So you have to kind of learn the accounting rules, make sure you're putting things in the right buckets so that when you get to September and your accountant is looking at things, if they haven't been looking at it all along, it's really in the right bucket, and they don't have to go back and kind of recreate the wheel with where you put your different revenues and sales and things like that.
And actually, SCORE has classes on that, and so does the Small Business Development Center, SBDC. They can actually help you go through and say, oh, this category should actually be that category. You've got to get that set up correctly from the beginning as a new business. Yeah,
and you cannot understate all of the fantastic things that are available to you out there to start a business. The things that SCORE will do for you are things that are truly invaluable. And, sure, if you've got a huge line of credit when you're starting the company and you just want to throw money around, you can go hire consultants to help you do all of these things. But many businesses, when they start, they don't have that luxury. And you're starting on a wing and a prayer and a little bit of savings that you've got, and you're investing, your that into it. So avail yourselves of, things like the Creative Coast, all the programs that they have. They do fantastic. SCORE, Small Business Assistance Corp. It's out there.
Oh yeah, it is.
It's just you do have to make the effort to talk to them, make a phone call, do some Google research. But if you take that time, you can pretty much find help with almost any category you need.
I know. I just read an article saying that Georgia was selected again for the 8th year in a row as the best state to do business in. And sure. I attribute it to SCORE and SBDC and our whole business environment of paying it forward and helping another business. We really do. It is the best community.
We're fortunate to live in a state that has a lot of very positive things going on, a lot of great resources.
And leadership. And
great leadership, everything. Savannah's got great leadership. Chatham County's got great leadership. Georgia has good leadership. And it's fantastic because there are many states that it's not easy to do business
and
in.
It's not a priority.
Yeah, it's not something they're not there to help you. But I think Georgia has always kind of felt, and being a Georgian, born here in Savannah, I'm very proud of where I'm from, and it's fantastic to see that Georgia puts a big emphasis on it. And there are a lot of programs out there, and I think it's helped a lot of people get in very, start businesses and become successful. It's not easy. It doesn't guarantee anything, but it's a lot better to have assets on your side than not.
So one of the things I wanted to mention, and we were talking about it a few minutes ago, was that HSA for folks that, it's out of pocket. Do you guys accept HSAs? And if you do, can you explain to folks what that is?
Yeah, so we do for My Nurse Now. So healthcare spending accounts are a different form of insurance where you basically pull some money away each month and put it into your savings account, and you can use that for medical expenses. So even things like a service like My Nurse Now that may not accept Blue Cross Blue Shield, in that form of like an HMO or PPO or something like that, we will take a health savings account for direct medical services. The things like direct primary care where you pay for a membership, a lot of that stuff won't pay you. HSAs won't pay for that. But the direct medical care, they will. So if you get a prescription or if you have a procedure, you can use your HSA for that.
And it's a great tax vehicle.
Yes, it is because it's all pre-tax dollars. It's right out. So you just send it straight from your earnings into that before taxes. And so it's a good way to divert, several $1,000s of pre-tax money to your healthcare.
I've had one almost 25 years, and it is they're a little tricky. I mean, some of them roll over, some of them don't.
Right. Flexible spending accounts, which are a little bit different, have different rules, are usually lumped in kind of the same bucket when people think about it. And they're beneficial too, but they're different. And you need to talk, if you work for a company or you work for a service that has an HR person, talk to your HR person about your benefits plan and make sure you're in the right one. But yes, so they're great ways to invest some of your pre-tax dollars.
So Amy, so you have I've seen you all over Facebook. Let's start talking about some of the marketing here.
Okay.
So what was on your marketing plan for when you wanted to launch My Nurse Now?
So sort of the plan, as we were launching was to start off with more referral-based marketing. And so kind of, boots on the ground. We're blessed that we have a lot of really great relationships, in the healthcare community in Savannah. We already have relationships with physicians and, nurses and referral specialists and a lot of the physician offices. And, so the plan and still is to go out into the community and talk about, My Nurse Now, because I think that one thing that I have seen through working with you and through, Coastal Care Partners is how important the PR aspect is. And obviously buying ads and TV commercials and all of those things are important too. But I just feel like, especially in our business, which is so, relationship and service, related, I just feel like the PR and the positive word of mouth is huge for us.
And I'm not sure if small business owners understand what PR means. Mm-hmm. PR has a PR problem. And what I like to tell them is it's a way to create word of mouth in the community and online. And I know you've heard me say this before, Amy, but 92% of referrals and new business comes from word of mouth. Yes. So this matrix that I'm going to show you today, there are 5 really powerful ways to create even more word of mouth in the community. Okay. And actually, you're doing all of them. But so this show is really for the small business owner watching it, just to have My Nurse Now as a case study to show how to do it. And just to give them an idea, the goal is to get people talking positive, to build your reputation around the community. And the matrix does it through 5 different ways. And these are the 5 different ways. 1 is position yourself as the authority. 2 is to become an award-winning company, because when you're an award-winning company, that is great buzz in the community. The other way is to become a charitable organization. If you're a business owner and you partner with a nonprofit and you help them out, the mass media loves that. Hard news, of course, is another great way to get the word out. For instance, if you guys just launched your company and you wrote a press release about it, it's going to end up in the mass media, in the local newspapers, which then end up online. And then any leadership opportunities that, like Leadership Savannah or Leadership Southeast Georgia. So when small business owners say, well, I do all my marketing just word of mouth, what they don't realize is that there's an actual strategy to create even more buzz. And these are the top 5 ways. So if we were going to be putting together your matrix, we would start. When did you launch your company?
We're launching the company right now. So
okay.
we're right in, I would say, December.
Okay, so December. So under hard news, your first press release would be open for business. So I know you've had a lot of press already with the biz pitch and everything, but therefore new and businesses just getting started. So the rule of thumb in a community the size of Savannah is get it out to one press release a month to the mass media. Okay. Any more than that is too much. I mean, Scott, you used to work in the media, and I'm sure there were companies that sent you 20 a month. It's like,
oh yeah, the fax machine every day.
You're dating yourself there.
Yeah,
fax machine.
right. Yeah, the old document fax machine. But yeah, and we would get the same companies would send multiple press releases, and it does, but you kind of tune them out after a while because a lot of them are not of huge value. So yeah, I mean, I think if one a month is probably ideal because you can send it out. It's not something people get tired of seeing your name, and if you make it, somewhat useful information,
real hard news,
and not just fluff as we used to call it in the newsroom, then you're going to get attention, and that makes sense.
So just looking back on this matrix, the algorithms with the media these are the top 5 things that the mass media will pick up. Mm-hmm. And I'm talking mass media. I'm talking like WJCL, the Savannah Morning News. And everybody says, well, the local newspapers, they're going away. I'm like, okay, let's look at their social media. They have 75,000 on their Facebook page. Most folks only have, 5,000. So it is really smart to get into mass media and not just use social media. That is the biggest problem I see with small business owners now. They don't think about mass media. They don't realize that by posting information on their social media, you have to do social media. But these people already know you. They already know how great you are. They're fans. They're checked. We're trying to get you new people that don't know about you. And that's where the mass media, that's where getting on a morning talk show, talking about a partnership that My Nurse Now has with, let's brainstorm that. Who could you partner with a charity that you could actually help?
Yeah, so I'm actually working with Gilliard and Company to do some sort of service project. So if you're familiar with Gilliard and Company, they are phenomenal, and they actually help foster children and foster families, and especially those foster children that are getting ready to age out of the system. It's all about providing like independent living resources for them. Transitional
help from the system to out of the system. Mm-hmm. And we think about it, there's so many children in the system that, when you're in one little box of this is the area that we're just kind of focusing on, they don't have a lot of experience outside of that system. And so it's a great service, and they're doing fantastic things to help these these young adults, move into the rest of society. And so Amy is working on trying to set up a project to help move that forward.
And that is something the mass media would pick up, is My Nurse Now partners with this organization to help placement or whatever. I mean, small business owners can probably make the media by doing a service project. They would come out and cover it. Do they actually have an agency, a house or something?
So not like, I think it's more of a multiple houses that they are in, and actually they started in Pooler, and it's multiple houses that they are funding as a place for a child that's aging out of the system to go into, almost like an apartment.
Yeah, so it sets them up in one type of apartment situation, and then gives them multiple tools to sort of fend for themselves and to be successful in community. And I think that one thing that business owners have to understand is that it might sound self-serving that I'm gonna do a service project so I can get media coverage. And
most don't want to do it.
Yeah.
But when they realize what you're going to say, they'll do it.
Yeah, it's both, right? I mean, philanthropy, you want to do good things. I think we all want to be good stewards in the community, and we want to help other people, especially businesses that are starting to see some success, because you're not going to be successful without the community backing you. And we're firm believers, and you have to give back. You should want to give back to the community. So it really serves both goals. You're able to help the community with a project, and at the same time, there is some publicity around that can help you as well. And
the publicity helps them.
Yeah. And so it's bi-directional, right? Exactly. It's bi-directional. It's a win-win. Don't be ashamed of calling media and saying, hey, come look what I'm doing to help the community, patting myself on the back. That's a small piece. It's really about, hey, let's shine the light on this other service. They need some attention because they're doing some great things. And if we can help, yeah, it's win-win for sure.
And if with small businesses watching, I mean, you can do that by giving a $500 check, a $5,000 check, or going in and doing a renovation of a kitchen or something. I mean,
there's so many things you can do. One of the things that we do with Coastal Care Partners is that we, do some pro bono work for folks that maybe not be able to afford the out-of-pocket of what we're doing with the care management, yet you need the services. So, a lot of companies can use their own, abilities, just use your own sweat equity, so to speak, to help other folks. You don't have to spend money out of pocket necessarily to do it. If you're a renovation company, if you're a construction company, and there's, of somebody in need that maybe they had a fire, maybe they need some help, whatever the situation may be, just think beyond, just coming out of pocket to try to buy something, see how you can apply your services to help as well.
Yeah. And, it's a good goal to maybe do that twice a year, put that on the matrix, maybe, let's see, charity, maybe something in February and something in July. The goal is to spread it out. And the biggest problem I see with nonprofits doing this matrix is all they have are events. And the media is like, oh, that again. I mean, they need to have events, but the matrix helps break it up. So one month there might be hard news. Another month there might be an event. Another month you're going to win an award.
They will tune you out. I mean, having lived it, been it, every morning or afternoon, I go in to the assignment desk in the newsroom, and you've got these just stacks of news releases, press releases, PR releases, and you just go through them and go, nope, because they're the same thing and it's repetitive. So exactly. I love the idea of saying, let's build a schedule around it, a matrix. And so you're doing different things at different times of the year.
And then another really important thing is to connect with the media. And instead of just sending or faxing, sending a press release, you have to be able to know somebody at the station or know somebody at the paper and follow them on Twitter, follow them on Facebook, make those relationships. I often tell folks, especially new businesses, set up an appointment with the local paper and just say, look, we're new. I just want to get you on our radar. Here's things that are going to be happening throughout the year. Thank you very much. You just need that connection.
Yep, and there are multiple ways you can do that. You can do it with someone from the news department, from their marketing department. If you are going to buy some advertising, believe it or not, Savannah Morning News, TV stations, radio stations, they all have their own advertising departments. And those salespeople will want to get to know you real quickly if you're buying advertising, and they communicate as well within their organization. So again, advertising in mass media is much needed. It's fantastic. It can be expensive, so you have to sort of plan a good strategy around that. But also think about it that way: is if I buy some time on this TV station, talk to your sales rep about circulating your information, in the news department and other areas.
That's definitely a way, but I know a lot of small business owners just starting off don't have the budget.
Sure, absolutely.
And so these are just all free strategies on how to do it. But you had the talk show on WJCL years ago.
Right. Yeah, we did. We did it for 2 years, and it was an hour long during the day. And when you've got to fill an hour every day, you need to be creative.
You need content. Absolutely.
Yeah, and content is king for sure. And so they're out there. I think most of the TV stations still have talk shows, and several of them have them in the morning. And again, if you have something to offer, they're not going to just call you on because you want to do a commercial for your company, right? You have to have something to offer the community of value. And the fact that you're kind of tagging on with it, that's great. But don't think that they're not going to cover you. If you just say, hey, I'm a new business starting up, can you give me some time? No, you can buy an ad. But if you have something to offer, so to your point, whether it's a service project, it's some value.
Yeah, any of these. I mean, there are a lot of ways to get covered in the media, and they're looking for content.
Yep.
And if you write it in a way that all they have to do is copy and paste, they are going to change it a little, but you write it in third person, like you're reporting on your company. There's a much better chance that they'll use it. But the reputation matrix, my book, talks about how important headlines are. Because that's, Scott, I'm sure when you worked at WJCL, you looked at the headline, and if it was a dud. Yeah,
it was a dud. And, P.T. Barnum said, it doesn't matter whether it's good or bad as long as you're on the front page. But I think, really, and honestly, it does, right? We're not all P.T. Barnums. So I think you have to have good stuff, right? You want the media to focus on the good that you're doing. It's not really just altruistic. I mean, you want to do good in the community, but that's when people will start to pick up on what you're doing. And if it's a good headline, and it's, you're helping a good sector of the community, it's going to get a lot more attention than if it's a dud.
So I know when people first learn about these strategies, they get really excited, and I see tons of stuff the first month or 2 or 3, and then crickets. It's like, what happened to you? Keep it going. It always gets put on the back burner, and it's a lot of work to keep that drip going.
She's nonstop on it. I mean, it's just continual. I mean, we'll be at. Don't let this dissuade you out there if you're thinking about it. But we're at dinner and she's thinking about things and we're talking about it. We're running around during the day. We might be picking up a kid from school and we're on the phone talking about it. It's pretty much nonstop.
That's the life of a business owner. It is nonstop.
I tell people we have 7 kids. 4 of them are human, 3 businesses, and they all take care in feeding.
I'm going to use that. There is no break at all.
Mm-hmm.
None.
Nope.
So another strategy. So we've got December that My Nurse Now could write the press release announcing your new business. January, do you plan on announcing any new hires, or you could announce a new doctor?
Yes, and we did already do one press release on our new physician, Dr. Sanjay Iyer, and we try and do a press release every time we have a new hire that is kind of a key employee, like a new nurse care manager, something like that.
And a couple of things are beneficial. That you want to highlight, you've got a new employee, a new person that's joining your team, and that shows the employee that obviously you care about them and they bring value to you. But also you want to let the community who may know this person, that your network is expanding. So every time you hire someone and you can promote them, you actually gain that person's network as well if you get the word out there.
Beautiful. And it also creates the buzz. That's a growing company.
Right. Yep. And then that's important too. There's so many things about it that just dovetail into each other. People like winners. People want to see that there's positive growth. And if you can, you don't want to, again, it's not about patting yourself on the back. It's just saying, hey, we're continuing to build our business to serve you better, and we've got more horsepower to do that. And people,
it builds confidence.
It does.
It builds confidence in your prospective clientele to see that you're a growing company, you're award-winning. Oh, you care about the community too?
Right.
Oh, and there's leadership involved, and they're the authority. All of those things build a lot of confidence.
I think what you just said in the past 15 seconds is probably just sums everything up about what it is. It's you have to be seen as someone that is important to the community, and it's not just about lining your wallet. It is about all of the things that you can do to help. And at the same time, you're doing it in a way that other people find value in. And if other people find value in what you're doing, that will continue to grow and build that confidence you're talking about.
So I see you guys as an award-winning company, and there's a lot of places that, like, if you belong to the chamber, or of course you belong to Buy Local, and maybe the Savannah Women Business might start giving out awards. Talk to me about your awards.
Oh yeah, so we did win Best of the Coastal Empire from Savannah Morning News just recently, and that was, it's funny when you start a business, you get things like this happen, and you're dumbstruck, you're awestruck by the fact that people do find value in what you're doing, because we're knees and elbows down every day, right. And we're nose to the grindstone kind of thing, and so when you get somebody that all of a sudden goes, oh no, wait a minute, what you're doing is cool and good, then it's like, oh wow, it's an honor that you really just are blown away by, and so that happened. And then the Biz Pitch, idea for My Nurse Now. So the Best of Savannah was for Coastal Care Partners, Best of Coastal Empire, and the Biz Pitch was for My Nurse Now. The other part of it is on a smaller scale, but still just as mind blowing, is when you get a Google review that is positive, right? And to me, those are like little awards, but they're just almost just
word of mouth.
Yeah, and it's just amazing. But we've done that, and then Amy started Savannah Women in Business as a way to sort of help
leadership.
Yeah, and I'll let you talk about that.
And actually, it came about after Savannah Magazine, probably 6 months ago, did they did an article that was about women entrepreneurs, and I got to be in it, and I was like looking through the magazine at all the different female business leaders, and I was just like, there are so many female entrepreneurs in Savannah. It's amazing, and I want to get to know them all. And so I launched Savannah Women in Business, and it's a networking group for female entrepreneurs, and it's been fantastic. We're almost at 400 members now, and it's just a way that we can network and build a better community and, you know, give each other tips and advice. And it's been fantastic. And we're having monthly events with speakers, and Marjorie was one of our speakers, and it was amazing, and we appreciate that. And we had an event just this week. We had a holiday networking event, and it was fantastic.
That right there is huge with leadership. I mean, it's just huge. I mean, so Amy, you're now in front of 400 people that will create word of mouth. I mean, it is a win-win situation. I mean, it is, but that takes foresight and leadership and time to create that. But I feel it'll only benefit everybody in the community and the business.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. It's a great opportunity for like referrals back and forth, you know, between all the members of the group. It's been fantastic.
And, you know, I'm a firm believer in the whole idea of like, you know, a rising tide lifts all boats. And so that if we can help, you know, spread the word, and we can help other companies that are starting, because I mean, it's very simple. We certainly didn't know everything about starting a business. So we leaned on other people to help us. And so Savannah Women in Business, like Amy's starting, the other networking groups, that there are many out there, you know, Buy Local, all of these other groups, while, yeah, you can certainly be a part of it for maybe different reasons. But I think the real reason that's beneficial is that you can lean on other people, and you can ask questions, and you can say, hey, listen, you can think about the community and the people that are in the group, and say, who can maybe give me some advice on what I should do in this situation? Because most likely with, you know, bigger groups, somebody's gone through something similar to what you're experiencing, and they can be mentors with that.
So years ago, when I was turning my father's business around up in Alexandria, Virginia, I reached out to the community and said, oh my God, what do we do? And the advice that I got back really helped turn my dad's business around. And that's how this show was started. It was, I'm going to start capturing what advice other small business owners that have actually done it. Because to me, it is so much more powerful coming from you guys that are walking the walk, not out of a textbook.
Yeah, if you've never started a business, you don't know what you don't know. And
say the phrase that we like.
Oh yeah. So we tell everybody from the beginning, we are building the airplane while we're flying it. And that is the
absolute truth for all of us. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that is the absolute truth. We're building the airplane while we're flying it.
Did you make that up?
No. I wish I could take credit for that, but I heard that.
That's a great metaphor.
Yeah, and it does. I mean, if you can picture that, right? And you know, I was fortunate enough in that I worked for a startup software company in Atlanta, where it was one physician who had an idea, and he was a doctor. He wasn't a business guy. And he had an idea, though, that he wanted to get into a software tool that would help other doctors. So I got to spend 10 years seeing how that entrepreneur
learning lessons.
Went through the different machinations of how, you know, it's going to go, and the maturation process of growing from his idea to then selling it for, you know, $100 million. And, you know, and it's all, you think it's all glamour and glitz, and it's absolutely the complete opposite. You know, it is long nights, long days, a lot of work. But the point of that is you need experience, you need to help, because you don't know what you don't know. You know, we tell people all the time, we try things in our businesses when we have an idea, and we'll go, oh, that's a great idea. And we'll throw it out there in the market, and the market will go, nope, didn't care for that one too much. And so you have to be nimble. You have to be, it's kind of like water. You got to be fluid. You got to go where the market kind of wants to take you. The market is the great teacher. And at the end of the day, whether you're a nice person, good person, you know, whatever, you know, the market is going to tell you whether your idea is valuable and whether it's going to support what you're trying to do. And so a lot of people will start businesses with a passion, and that's great, because you got to have that passion to start it. But don't go, one piece of advice I'll say, don't go into it absolute, like it's concrete, like this is my idea, this is it, and I'm not going to deviate from that at all. because if you're not flexible, the market will throw you out really fast if it doesn't like your idea.
Another great metaphor. It's like an airplane. If the wings didn't bounce,
it'd fall
out of the sky. You got to be flexible.
Yeah, you really do. And so that's, you learn a lot because, like I said, you don't know. A lot of people don't know anything about it. We sure didn't.
So one of the other things on the matrix is the line, the authority. And this is probably my favorite way, educational marketing, because you're not selling, you're only educating.
Right.
And, women in business, they're always looking for speaker. Rotaries, they're looking for speakers every single week. There's a lot of speaking opportunities, and I really like to encourage small business owners to have a 15-minute educational, not promotional talk. So, I know I did mine on 5 things to create word of mouth, 5 strategies. So what could my nurse now, what kind of educational talk could you do?
Yeah, I think it's actually amazing to us in the 2.5 years that we've been in business with Coastal Care Partners. We talk about Coastal Care Partners and My Nurse Now simultaneously, even though they are separate businesses, they are very intertwined, and a lot of them deal with the same market. And what we've found is that there is and I'm sure this is the same in many industries, huge lack of knowledge about how to find services around healthcare. Because again, and this is not to be insulting to anybody, because we definitely follow that, you're kind of dumbed down to the world of what insurance pays for. And if it's not on that list of services, from your insurance company, you don't really know about what's all out there. Insurance does not pay. So your typical health insurance does not pay for a caregiver to come into the home, right?
So maybe 10 things you might not know about your insurance.
Yeah, exactly. Or how to find services to support an aging loved one, because insurance does not pay. Yeah. So insurance does not pay for it. So all of the things that we have kind of built our company around is not only the reason that we're in business, but it's the educational idea. And Amy's, done a lot of work, and, her 20-year nursing background and working with in the hospice industry for many years. It's all about becoming that authority and knowing, hey, I can advise you on all of the things that you just didn't know about, because there's so much out there. And I think that's what you have to do. Give the talk around, let me educate you, not about what we can do for you, but what you need to be aware of that's out there.
I mean, you're really now helping them to navigate this space. And not only can you get up and speak in front of Rotary, you can write a column in the local paper. Right. You can start your own show, like using this platform, StreamYard.
Yeah.
Be the authority. There's a plethora of ways to position yourselves as the authority. And
yes, yep. Started a blog.
Yeah, doing topics. Yeah, for educational stuff and
yeah.
That's so important, because when people are looking for your services, they are going to Google you. And if you follow this matrix and you blog and you get stuff in the mass media, when they Google you, your good news is going to come up. Oh, they're open for business and they do this. Oh, they're award winning. Oh, My Nurse Now is helping this nonprofit. Oh, they look at the leadership they're demonstrating. Oh, she just gave a speech to Rotary on the top 5 ways. I mean, that builds huge confidence. That's building your online reputation, because the first thing people are going to do is Google you. Mm-hmm. And this strategy of having one press release a month in any of these areas will help in the search engines more than anything else. I mean, it's going to also help in your in the community too, but really you're building your online reputation. So with the matrix, hard news is hard news. If you had one press release a month, then that's the ultimate. but I am going to challenge you to, do at least 4 talks a year in the community, if not more. I mean, who has that kind of bandwidth? But whether it's talks or columns, at least drip it out quarterly. Okay, record them and reblog them when you get picked up. Go after an award once a year, whether it's through your local chamber or your trade association. Like I belong to Public Relations Society of America. They give out awards every year. So if you belong to or an association, they give out awards. And then you get even bigger online reputation management stuff. So, and leadership, announce all the boards that you're on, make sure the mass media knows it, and then share it with the social media. But you guys are already doing that. I'm really talking to the small business owners watching it. I mean, you really just thumbs up. Congratulations to all your wonderful accomplishments and actually a great role model for new businesses starting, and maybe encourage folks to sign up for Biz Pitch with Savannah Score next year.
No doubt.
Yeah,
it's been great, and we're happy to help. We like spreading the word. People were so helpful to us. You have to pay it forward. You have to pay it forward, and so we're happy to help as well. And thank you for obviously having us on. We appreciate the publicity and the help, and obviously, we've learned a lot from you and the reputation matrix. I think it's key to helping get you where you want to go.
So right before we end, is there one piece of advice that you can give to people either thinking about starting a business or a very new business? What would you like to tell them?
Call SCORE.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And read Reputation Matrix.
Awesome, guys. Well, thank you for taking time out to share your knowledge and your tips and your story. And everybody, thank you for watching Open for Business, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.